Fourth grade, Unit 2, Cooking with Fractions, will look very familiar to last year. We updated and improved some of the formative tasks and opening routines. We adjusted the days just a little bit, but basically the standards and the flow is the same. So, what are those standards? You'll notice that we have standards for topic A that are all about adding and subtracting fractions, as well as about line plot addition and subtraction. For topic B, we have standards all about multiplying fractions. Let's take a look at the pacing guide to think about that more deeply. Just a reminder, at the top of your second page of your pacing guide is an alignment document. That will be really helpful for your planning. And once again, we have summaries. Topic A, adding and subtracting. Topic B, multiplying. Topic A takes up the second half of October. And then topic B takes up the first half of November. Topic A ends with a performance task. Topic B ends with a post-assessment. I'm going to highlight something about topic A really quickly, which is to say that we alternate between models and strategies. And that's because we want to start concrete and conceptual before we move procedural. Another thing about our order is that we start with adding fractions, subtracting fractions, adding mixed numbers, subtracting mixed numbers. If you like that order, awesome, do it. But some resources approach it differently. They might combine fractions and mixed numbers, or they might combine addition and subtraction. If you use a resource that does something like that and you prefer to follow that order, go for it, but make sure you are deeply teaching all addition and subtraction standards and line plot standards by the end of October. Let's dig into the content a little more deeply. Just like in Unit 1, reminder, please use lots of concrete and visual models. I know we have fraction tiles and we love area models. Don't forget number lines too. And they're not just for identifying fractions, they're actually helpful for adding and skip counting and subtracting and multiplying fractions. They can be used to help us understand equivalence. I can see this fraction 3 2/3 in 3 different ways, and I can ask students, how are they the same? How are they different? It will really develop their conceptual understanding. You have manipulatives for Unit 2. I imagine you'll use the fraction tiles a lot. Just be careful that the tiles themselves don't become a mindless procedure. This is 1/3. What do you mean? 1/3 of what? Always consider the size of the whole. It takes 3 of these thirds to make one whole. Similarly, you want to make sure students don't just say 1/3 is bigger than 1/4 because the tile's bigger. Well, why is the tile bigger? Get students to explain and make sure they understand. In topic A, we are adding and subtracting fractions. When you're doing that, you want to make sure that you don't just say 2 + 3 is 5, keep the denominator, because that doesn't make sense. That's just a procedure. So think about 2/8 plus 3/8, making a total of 5/8. Talking about that unit, the fact that these are each eighths, helps us to understand. These models are also helpful in thinking about equivalence. Rather than saying 5 times 1 plus 1 is 6/5, I can look at it and see there are literally 6 1/5 pieces in 1 1/5. When you get to multiplication of fractions, keep in mind the language of the standard. Multiply a fraction by a whole number. What that actually means, it seems kind of backwards. In 4th grade, students multiply whole numbers times fractions, which lets us think about repeated addition, 4 groups of 2/3. In 4th grade, we don't do fraction times whole, and we don't do fraction times fraction. Those come in 5th grade. So if they sneak into your lessons, please get rid of them. The focus in 4th grade is whole number times fraction and making that connection to repeated addition. Another thing to keep in mind for 4th grade, Unit 2, is that we have identified a couple specific days for word problems. However, there's other days when you should incorporate word problems. You should always incorporate word problems, not just on those specific days. But on those specific days, you might want to give students calculators. That way they can focus more on the word problems and less on the calculations. It'll give them a chance to learn how to use that tool. One final reminder, in 4th grade, these are the denominators that students should be using. So don't sneak in 7ths or 11ths or 13ths. They just don't need to use them. Good luck.